Hi there. The career that I chose to research for this project, the career that needs more than a bachelor level education, is marriage and family therapy private practice, as opposed to being a therapist in residence in uh, an outside organization. So the educational requirements for this position, which it's a pretty popular one, you need at least a master's degree. Some states, some locations might require a PhD if you want to attract clients. I think some people even practice with a bachelor's, but it's important to have as high education as you can. Some relevant majors or paths of study include clinical psychology or human development or counseling. There are lots of different things that you can take into this field. Once you've achieved that degree, you also need to be licensed by the state in which you want to practice. That often includes proving that you've received an education and that you have experience, both supervised and unsupervised, in this field. Working environment for this profession is, well, since it's private practice therapy, it's a pretty small organization that you'd be working in. So not very many employees. You work pretty closely, pretty one-on-one with individuals or couples or families. You work long hours. There's some flexibility in your schedule because you're essentially self-employed, but you also have to work enough to actually make a living. You have to fit in enough sessions so that you can provide for yourself and your family. The working hours for this profession are somewhat irregular. Many clients come in and want therapy after school hours or after they get off work, so you'd be working into the evening most days. Stressors in this work field, I think the biggest one would be trying to meet each client's needs. People are coming to you for therapy because they have relationship problems, probably long-term ones, or because they have mental health issues, or just any number of things that they're trying to deal with. And it's your job to listen to them, to understand what they're going through, and then to try to help them. So that's always going to be stressful when people have been damaged. Maybe that's not the right word to use, but when they have those issues, it's going to be stressful for you to try to help fix them. It's also very possible that as a marriage and family therapist, especially a private practice therapist, you would encounter clients who are not satisfied with your service, and they might even resort to challenging your state license or even litigation. So you'd have to have insurance and you'd have to be very clearly qualified in your field. So that's another stressor. Benefits of working in this field. Since as a private practice therapist, you're essentially self-employed, you don't have the typical financial benefits that many professions do. So if you want a retirement fund or bonuses, that's just something you'd have to provide for yourself. But the psychological benefits of this field are incredible. The job satisfaction is very high because people are satisfied with the change that they can make happen in their clients' lives. You can see that in a majority of the people that you try to help. So it's very satisfying, but the monetary benefits aren't great. Job tasks for being a marriage and family therapist include meeting one-on-one or with groups, with families, listening to a history of their relationships or their issues, coming to understand them, and meeting with them probably once a week, maybe even more than that, just so that you can get to know them and understand their problems. Then you explain phenomena to them, and try to help them understand why they are going through what they're going through. And then you help them work through that. You facilitate communication between them and their family. You assign, I call it homework, just at home tasks and practices that they need to implement in between sessions. So job tasks are very personalized to each client. So the more experience you have, the more able you are to deal with different situations, I guess. The typical salary for this career or this profession, it varies quite a bit by your expenditure, by your location, by your experience level. Typically, the entry-level salary for this profession, especially since it's private practice, is around $45,000 a year. Experienced is on average about $58,000, but it can be much higher than that depending on how much you're willing to charge each session. Just other information that I think is interesting is that you can do so many things with this profession. There are people who practice as therapists for, like, as part of a religious institution, so they meet with people in a religious setting, or there's people who counsel specifically for mental health or for adolescents or for children. There are sexuality therapists, just all sorts of things that you can do. So it might seem like a difficult career, but there's a reason that it's so popular. People can do so much with it, and the satisfaction is very high in this profession.